want to take a minute to introduce Eric Kim. He is a good friend of mine, just so happened to be my random roommate first year of college. And so Eric started off in tech, actually, and then very quickly realized that he did not want to do that, and he quickly pivoted to the much more exciting life of professional photography. So nowadays, he travels the world and puts on professional photography workshops for aspiring street photographers and pretty much any photographers that just want to learn more about being creative every day. He's also a big proponent of the open source movement, and so he's released quite a few of his books open free online, and he has some books on Amazon and through his store. He's also a big entrepreneur. He's started a photography social platform, as well as opened up a physical goods store. So he's got lots of things going on. Thank you so much for coming, and without further ado, please help me welcome Eric Kim.
All right, how's everyone feeling? Good? All right, so raise your hand if you had your morning coffee already. Lunchtime coffee? All right, so I'm just gonna try my best to make this not as boring as possible because I don't want to put anyone to sleep. So first and foremost, thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you, Kevin, everyone at Google, Cindy, for making this possible. I'm super excited to be here because I think all of you guys, I met some of you guys at the door. First and foremost, I consider all of you guys artists. Artists in the sense that we're all born as artists, as children, like Picasso said. And according to his quote, how do we remain artists as we get older? Because I do think that once you go to school, it's like, oh, test taking. So the creativity is kind of a little bit beaten out of you. And my goal as a person, a grown child and artist is that as I'm getting older, I actually try to become more childlike as I get older rather than becoming more adult-like. So first and foremost, everyone in this room, so we're here about creativity. So I just want to ask you guys, so why do you think creativity is important? So why do you think creativity is important?
Me. Oh, no one raised their hand, so you.
Yeah, I'm going to be one of those bad teachers. The rule is, if you don't make eye contact with me, I'm going to call you. Yeah.
Is it on? Yes. Okay. So why is it important to become or to be creative? Well, that depends on what you consider important. I think if you consider happiness and joy and inspiration to be important, then you'll want to be creative, because without that, life is just kind of, you just do what you have to do. You go through the motions.
Raise your hand if you like to be happy. All right, who's not raising their hand? Okay, can you throw the box to somebody randomly and then have them answer? Yeah, toss it over. All right, so why is creativity important to you?
All right, if you're creative, you get to have variety in your life and express something that you want to express.
Is there something you want to express?
Certain images, or like a nice picture that I want to capture or something like that.
Do you like photography?
I do drawing.
All right. Raise your hand if you like photography or drawing or... Oh, awesome. Okay, good. You guys had the right talk. Can you toss it to one more person on that side? Yeah, toss it over. Kobe. Okay.
All right, so the reason why you want to be creative every day is because you consume every day. And to balance out your energy and balance out the universe, you also need to create.
Man, I like that. What's your name?
LJ.
LJ? And what was your name?
Oren.
Huh?
Oren.
Oren? Matt? Okay. I'm Eric, by the way. Okay. So I definitely think that that's probably the most important thing that actually is going to be one of the talks, the points on this talk. So, sorry, my presentation style, I'm a little bit all over the place. Is that okay with people's? Cool. So essentially, I'm just going to drop some tips and ideas. So one of the big ideas I want to share is very much similar to your point, is we are consuming most of the time. So I'm an American. I was born and raised here. I like my Costco hot dogs and everything. And I would say I'm the ultimate sucker for consumerism. I'm driving on the freeway, I see an Aston Martin ad, I would like one of those. Or I see an iPhone ad, I'm like, I would like one of those. And I think consuming is important, because if I didn't have my avocado toast, I probably wouldn't have the energy to live my days. However, I'm proposing this notion of the opposite of consumerism, which is producerism. meaning we derive our happiness from producing things, from producing artworks. And I say artwork in a very general sense. It could be dance, it could be poems, it could be photographs, it could be drawings. Anything that you create is creative. And what I'm going to try to encourage in this talk is that, first of all of us, we're creators. And the more we create, the more creative we are. It's not like you're born creative and you're not born creative. We're all creative in here. And so I just want to give you guys some practical and also some philosophical talks on the point. Okay, I have one of these. All right, so cool. So I'll just tell you a little bit about my personal life story. So my name's Eric Kim, 31 years old, went to UCLA, studied sociology. And the reason I got into photography was, I feel that photography is augmented reality, is that with a camera, I could actually experience life richer, fuller. It's like, you remember when you went from like 540 to like 4K? It's like the world just looks so much more vibrant. And I'm one of those people that I'm prone on getting bored easily. Raise your hand if you get bored easily. Yeah, right? So to me, the world looks so much more interesting with a camera. I'm a big fan of black and white photography because it makes the world look different than what it actually is. And studying sociology was super fascinating for me because, believe it or not, I like people. And the primary interest I have is street photography. And it was cool because I was able to cross-pollinate my interest in photography and sociology. So photography plus sociology, I discovered street photography. And that's also another notion I wanted to share too, is that I think all of us, we are full stack artists or visual artists. So whether you paint, whether you draw, whether you sketch, whether you photograph, it's not like, oh, I'm a photographer, or I'm an illustrator, or I'm a whatever. It's how can you take these different things that you're interested in and combine them to create a new form of art, which is authentic to you. So for example, I really like music, and I started playing around with GarageBand to make my own beats because I would just rip instrumentals off YouTube from rap music videos, and I always get this copyright infringement. I'm like, oh, this is so annoying. But it was actually a good moment because I'm like, oh, maybe I should make my own beats. Open up GarageBand, and what I did was I started making YouTube videos of slideshows of my photos and adding my beats on top of it, so you could kind of double dip. And so cross-pollination is something that's very important to me. So even asking you guys in the crowd, so feel free to shout out. So what are some passions or creative interests everyone here has? So.
Cycling.
Cycling, what else? Sewing.
Fashion.
Huh? Fashion? Okay, yeah. What else?
Cooking.
Cooking, ooh. Anyone's hobby eating? Eating, what else? Music production. Roller skating. Roller skating while cooking. This is Eric Kim's cross-pollination idea, tech startup idea, okay? So I would encourage all of you, the best way to be creative every day is not all of us, so like for example, my passion is photography. Not all of us have the opportunity to shoot photos every day, or you might not even have the opportunity to cycle every day. But how can you use every moment of your day to be creative in a different type of way? So this is a thought experiment. It's the notion of creative return to every day. And it's actually the topic of our book, Creative Every Day. Cindy handed out some copies in the crowd. The idea is this. If your morning to your nighttime was put on loop ad infinitum forever, would this be your happiest heaven or would it be your deepest hell? And so, you guys ever watch that Tom Cruise movie where he kind of gets killed and he replays his life? Tomorrow Never Dies? Or Lola, the Lola running movie? You guys know that movie? So the notion is, if your 24-hour chunk of time from the morning to the night, how can I just use that 24-hour chunk to live eternally for like 1 trillion years and be happiest in my life? So this is the title of our book. Yes?
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day, yeah. Groundhog Day, yeah. So imagine your life is Groundhog Day. You are the groundhog. But you're the creative groundhog, right? So the title of our book is Eternal Return to Creative Every Day. Essentially, I like the day of all day creative. And you're making things, you're learning things, you're playing things, and it's much more done in a sense of fun. So my definition of creativity, before I bore you with my definition, how do you guys define creativity? Feel free to shout it out. What is creativity?
Creating something unique to you.
Creating something unique to you? I heard someone in the back. Expression. What else? Someone, huh?
Building anything.
Building anything. Anyone like Legos growing up? Yeah. Oh yeah. So, huh?
A tendency to create.
A tendency to create. I love it. Okay, I'll give you some extra credit points at the end, right? So my definition of creativity is very similar to your guys, because I think the problem about creativity is that, okay, when most people say, oh, you're so creative, I think what they mean to say is you are artistically innovative, meaning you create art forms that no one has witnessed before, and therefore you're different from us normal peoples. However, I much prefer a very much more pragmatic definition of creativity is a tendency to create. A creative person is somebody who creates a lot. And this is the analogy I'll give, very California. Have you guys ever seen an avocado tree? Did you actually know that avocados came from trees? True story. If I had an avocado tree and it made lots of avocados, that's a good avocado tree, right? Or else we wouldn't have our avocado toast. It would be a nightmare. So you are the avocado tree, and the avocados you produce are your artworks. So the more avocados you could produce, the more creative you are, or the more you produce. And this is also tied into this notion of producerism. The more you produce, generally the happier you are. So this is a picture of my mom. So to me, my mom is my ultimate life inspiration. She's in a field of flowers with her phone. And she is the one who I really find inspiration from because she's always smiling and she's creative every day. She's using her phone, she's knitting, she's making artworks which bring her joy. And she's like in her 60s now, but she's kind of like a big grown child. And I really relate with that. And this is the philosophical question that I have is, why create? I think a life in which you're creating all the time, I feel like this is the only life worth living. If you had a life in which you could not create, to me this would be actually my deepest hell. And I think consuming, and this is the way I see it, consumerism is important because you must consume food, ideas, nutrients. Once again, avocado tree analogy. Your roots need to go down into the earth, and you need to draw nutrition from the soil, from the water, from the sunlight. So you need nutrition. However, you're consuming in order to create, in order to produce. So the ultimate goal is for you to create stuff. So whether you create a photograph, whether you create a book, whether you create a poem, even I think the act of conversation could be very creative, is that you're talking with somebody and you sharing ideas, you're creating something greater. And also I think I figured out the secret of happiness. It's just creating. I'm happiest when I'm creating. When I'm consuming and being passive, I'm actually slightly a little bit depressed.
I have a question.
Yes, I have an answer.
So, how do you personally?
Yeah.
How do you balance your want and your need to create versus also your ego's need to be good at what you create?
Oh, okay. So this is a good question. That's a fantastic question. Oh, so I'll repeat the question. So we all have this desire to create, but then again, there's this ego that tells us it's only worth creating if it's good. So if you create an artwork and it's bad, it's not worth creating. And okay, so I'll tell you about how I feel about this. So growing up, I always want to be good, right? And then you're self-censoring yourself with your ego. But I think this is actually something that you're trained, is that your teachers, your friends tell you that's good or bad. At this point, I don't think there's such thing as good or bad art. I think there's only authentic art or inauthentic art. And so the way I say authentic is you are the author. So if you make something that you feel like is you and it brings you joy, it's authentic. If you're making something to please the audience or please other people, I consider it inauthentic. So, and whether it's authentic or inauthentic, no one else could judge this but you. And so, for example, let's say I'm getting into cycling, right? And the question is, okay, it's authentic if I'm cycling because it brings me joy. But if I'm just cycling because I could get some like swole ass calves and show off with my sweet biking gear to my buddies, right? Then maybe that's an inauthentic purpose. And this is also one of the reasons I had about maybe a year and a half ago, I had about 60,000 followers on Instagram. I actually deleted my Instagram because I realized in myself the reason why I was doing photography was very inauthentic because I wanted the likes, right? It's kind of that dopamine drip of like, social affirmation, social affirmation, so I feel good. But I started realizing I no longer made photos to please myself, but to please other people. So now I think what's actually helped me is that don't think about the good, bad binary. That doesn't exist. Just think of authentic or inauthentic binary and how that applies to you. Because even if you look at Matisse or Picasso, the earlier works were very photorealistic, good paintings, but the older they got and the more experience, they actually became more childlike. Even Matisse doing the little cutouts, I actually consider that his best work. So I would say, yeah, just think about, don't worry about the good or bad part, just think about the authentic or inauthentic part. And yeah, thank you. Please feel free to interrupt me as I go through the talk because I think it's all good. So another thing that's actually helped me be more creative every day. So a lot of us, we're working in the office all day. It's hard for us to always go out and make photos. Another way you could be creative is I'm very much into this idea of remixing. So this is one photograph that I shot. And one of the tips I'll give you guys as photographers is a good tip is in Photoshop or Procreate, any of those tools, inverse your images. Because as you inverse your images, you could actually understand your photos in a different way. And to even take photos you've already shot and remixing them different, that itself is also a creative act. And some other things I like to do is I like to add different color overlays. And the more I remix my images, the more I feel connected with it, and the more I can understand the ways to do it. And so, raise your hand if you're looking at a computer all day. Raise your hand. You don't have to raise your hand, but I was gonna say, raise your hand if you would prefer not to be in front of a laptop, dig it. But I'm not gonna put anyone in that position, okay? So, and also feel free to write down notes or put notes in your phone. So another tip I have in photography is Gaussian blur. So Gaussian blur. I think it's this German guy, his name was Gauss or something. It's a certain algorithm to add a blur to your photo, which looks nice. Does anyone actually have a technical definition of Gaussian blur? Right. So this is the tip. Take photos that you like, that you've shot, or when you're analyzing other people's photos, and apply a Gaussian blur. Another tip, what you guys could do, so for us people who have glasses, take off your glasses, and look at the image. That's like your real life Gaussian blur test. For those of you guys blessed with good eyes, what you could do is you could close one eye, cover one eye, and squint until you make your eyes look invisible. And one of the best ways to do the Gaussian blur test, especially when looking at images, is that it helps you better abstract the images and better understand composition. So even one thing I like to do in Photoshop is apply the Gaussian blur filter. You could change the slider as however much you want. And then you start to fill in the image. And then what I'll do is I'll hide the back image. And so this initial composition we saw earlier, abstracted, that's actually kind of the visual impact that you're getting. And doing this kind of stuff in Photoshop, you could be in the office, you could be on your lunch break, you could just kind of be playing around with your images, and also you could be playing around with other people's images. So this is actually with the Gaussian blur test, inversed, to better even understand the images. And I just kind of like it because in photography, there's this tendency that a photograph is sacred. You're not allowed to kind of mess with it. But I'm all for, I love hip hop music too, and I love sampling. I think being able to sample, remix, is able to help us all thrive creatively. So back to my previous point, no such thing as good art or bad art. I think about it as authentic or inauthentic. So looking at this photo, how does it make you feel? Weird but good. How so?
Because I feel good because she's smiling, and I kind of feel that energy. But then just kind of weird looking at her like this. But I like it.
Okay, can I actually bring you on stage? Yeah, come on, come on. Yeah, you guys didn't know if you signed up for the talk, you'd be called on stage. All right, we got Travis Scott in the building. How's it going, Travis? All right, come on stage. So, this is my camera. You could grab it. All right, I'm putting it into color for you. So, look at the photo, Travis.
Yeah.
How close do you think I had to be to photograph her? So imagine I'm the lady.
I mean, it kind of.
Okay. So what I want you to do is, so imagine me. I have a nice pearl necklace, red lips. It's New York City. I want you to take that same photo
Of you.
of me. So, ha 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 ha. All right, take the shot. Get close. See how close you gotta get.
Gosh.
Okay. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, this camera. Ha ha ha. Yeah, get closer, man. No zoom. Foot zoom. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Ho 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 ho. Hee hee hee. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. All right, so everyone looks at how close Travis had to get to me, right? So let's see, how did you do? Oh yeah, you did good. Okay, so let's give Travis a golf clap. Thank you, Travis. All right, so this is also as I'm going through this talk, a lot of us are interested in photography. I'll get some tips on photography. So there's also this strange notion in photography is that we're not allowed to interact with our subjects. Is that it's like a pristine scene and you're not allowed to interact. But I like, this is my thought. Whenever you make artworks or photographs, and I consider all photos artwork as well, you're embedding a little bit of your own soul and your own personality into the images. And anyone want to guess how many photos I shot to get this photo? Raise your hand if just one. 2 shots. How many shots do you think I shot? Travis? Huh? 30, okay. Can everyone give me a drum roll, please? All right. So this is something we call a contact sheet. I remember the days of film. So how many shots did I had to shoot to make the one good photo? 29. Hey, you guys cheating? All right. Oh, you can see the numbers, okay? So did I just go down the block and see a laughing lady and photograph her? How do you think I provoked this photo? Talk to her? You guys want to know the story? Right. So I'm walking around New York City, right? And this is beautiful woman. She's just walking. I'm like, oh my God, miss, you look so amazing. And this is actually another tip too, is when you're photographing people, you're interacting with people, start off with a compliment or why you find them beautiful. Because most people is kind of self-conscious. They're like, oh, you know, I'm a little bit older of a lady. Is he trying to make fun of me? Whatever. Oh my gosh, you look so beautiful. She's like, I'm 86 years old. And I'm like, you look amazing. And so I go up to her and I start to take photos. And when I'm taking photos, I'm actually not good at talking, so I'll ask open-ended questions. Oh, where are you coming from? She's like, oh, I'm just kind of hanging out. I go, click, click, click. Oh, sorry, let me stop. Change it. Click, 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 closer, click. And then, obviously very awkward, right? And then she's like, you're crazy. Ha 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 ha. And then click, click. I didn't know I got the shot, right? So this is also another tip is, at least in photography, when you think you got the shot, you don't always have the shot. Try to shoot 25% more than you need to shoot because you kind of want to milk the scene because you're never going to see this ever again. But what I love most about it is that you can inject your own soul into the photographs and make scenes that are interesting. So another thing I like to do when I'm kind of bored in my office or whatever, I'll take photos I've already shot and I'll deconstruct the photo and try to simplify. This is another good tip about any form of art, whether it be writing, whether it be poetry. I'm a big fan of Zen haiku poetry too. Simpler is better. And like we all know from Steve Jobs, simple is very complex. To achieve optimal simplicity is very, very difficult and very, very hard. But what I'm always trying to do is when I'm shooting in the scene, when you're making photos, always look at the background and try to position yourself to simplify the background of the scene. And generally, one of the best ways to do that is actually to get closer to your photos. Anyone here like to write? Cool. What do you like to write?
I like to journal actually, and just sort of express how I feel.
You want to give her that thingy?
I like to journal. Sometimes at the end of the day, just sort of write out what happened and how I felt, and I find that sort of therapeutic, but can sometimes be a little creative if, I feel like adding a little extra to it. Yeah.
Well, I love it. It's like a 2-for-1. It's you could be the therapy as well as the
Yeah.
therapy. And then we had who else? Right? Writer?
Yep.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
I just write short stories.
Nice. Love it. Anyone else from this side? Like to write? Writers? Bloggers? Texters? Emailers? I actually think that email could be a creative act too. Oh, Cindy, you like to write too? Well, why don't you give her the little box?
What's your question?
Oh, I said, why do you like to write?
I like the challenge of forcing all of my kind of hectic thoughts into fragments or sentences.
So some of you guys got this book, and one of the things I really encourage you guys to do is, okay, this is what people don't realize about books. Books are meant to be used, worn, and torn and abused. I'll show you something that you're not allowed to do to a book. Oh my God, do you see that? I folded the page. God forbid you write in it. So you open it up, your name here is creative every day. And so I feel that one of the best ways to be creative every day is not to just trap yourself within a box. Let me see the box. All right. This is not you. You are outside, beyond the box. And do you know why is it that everyone always tries to put you inside a box? I'll tell you why. And this is a little, knowing a little bit about my wife who just got her PhD, knowing a bunch of people in academia. So I think I have this figured out. People who are art historians or people who try to classify people, they're all a bunch of nerds who like to put people into boxes because it makes them feel superior. It's like, oh, you're a postmodernist writer on Neo-Freudian slips, or you're a black and white, pre-modern, postmodern, intermodern, black and white, monochrome, visual artist. So people are trying to put you into a box because it makes you understandable by them. Some people might be confused, like, wait, he's a power lifter, he does yoga, and he cycles, and he's also an artist? Like, most people don't understand this notion. And I think that all of us, whether we be writers, whether we be photographers, we could kind of cross-pollinate and mix all these things too. And I think that all of us, so once again, everyone in this room is an artist. I said it. If anyone says that, let's say you're at a dinner party, say, oh, what do you do? I'm an artist. They say, no, you're not. Say, Eric Kim said I was. So you can blame it on Eric Kim. The ultimate apex of an artist, I think, is the one who combines both the art and the technical. So anyone here know how to code or do computer stuff? Yeah. Even coding is an act of art. Like, have you ever seen a piece of code which is so sublimely beautiful and precise, and you're like, that's just like looking at the Sistine Chapel? Yeah? I had a friend who, he studied English literature and poetry, and he just picked up coding as a hobby, and he's like one of the best coders because even the way, triple spaces or tabs? Which one's better? Triple spaces? Tabbers? Oh, those guys get out of the room. Huh?
Quad space.
Oh, this guy's going hard, man. You gotta take this guy out of the room. He's out of control, right? So all of us, and this is why I think photography to me is one of the coolest art forms. It's the most technological, nerdy thing we could do, but also one of the most artistic, creative things we could do. If Leonardo da Vinci was alive today and you gave him an iPhone, he'd be like, what is this? He'd just be out like taking all these photos. Even if in photography, if Henri Cartier-Bresson was alive, he wouldn't be using a film camera. He'd be out shooting with an iPhone or something else. And so Leonardo da Vinci was a great artist, individual, whatever, because he mastered both the art and the technical. He was an engineer and an artist. Even Steve Jobs, I think the reason why, he was so great is that he combined the humanities and the art. So I feel that all of us, we could cross-pollinate both of these to become the most epic version. So Ars is Latin for art, techne, which is technical. You become the ultimate synthesis of both the art and the technical. So this is a photo of my beautiful wife, Cindy. That's her there. Okay. Photography is fantastic. Right? I'll give you guys some practical tips. So in modern life, you can't go to a dinner party and say, okay, what do you do, right? That's the question. Being in LA, it's like, what do you do? What car do you drive? Those are 2 questions, right? Right? So let's say you go to a dinner party, they're like, oh, what do you do? And then what are you supposed to say? I work at Google. It's like, oh, what do you do at Google? You work with startups, okay? So you can't be at a dinner party and you're like, I'm an artist. Because what would you really think about that guy? Pretentious D-bag, right? I've been informed I'm not allowed to curse, so I'm going to try my best to not shut the front door, okay? So when I was in Kyoto, I met this guy who's, he uses this phrase, which is super fascinating to me. The notion is visual artist. So I think all of us, obviously we're visual people, we're artists. And to tack the term visual artist in front of it, it's kind of a good strategy, because if you just say I'm an artist, it just sounds a bit pretentious and people are like, he thinks he's an artist or whatever, just because he has like silver glasses and wears a white t-shirt. No, I'm just kidding. But if you're a visual artist, then you could use a camera, you could use your iPad, you could use your phone, you could use anything to create visual art forms. Are y'all cool if I show you guys a quick demo? You guys like demos? Yeah. All right, cool? Sure? Sorry, I'm like totally trolling you guys. Okay, so can you turn on the iPad? All right. Raise your hand if you have one of these things somewhere at home, in the bathroom, somewhere. I feel like at this point we all have an iPad, but we haven't figured out how to use it good, right? It's like, oh, you watch Netflix on it or whatever. I think the iPad is one of the most underrated creative tools which have been created that no one is actually able to figure out until now. So this is my tip. You could also do it on your iPhone. I'm not going to ask who has an iPhone because something. So the iPhone is fantastic. Google Pixel's fantastic. All the cameras are fantastic. But I really like the iPad because there are so many different forms of visual art you could create with the iPad. So I'll just show you guys a few apps that I like to do. So one of them is called ZenBrush 2. You open it up. And essentially, it's actually pretty cool. So you could just do little sketches. And whenever I'm kind of bored, instead of watching Netflix or whatever, I'll just kind of sit on the couch and I'll just start to sketch images that I like. And even if I wanted to show you what my view of the room looks like, oh, there's some chairs here, there's some chairs here, some lights. And that's just kind of how I feel. And so to me, calligraphy is really fascinating to me because it's the ultimate Zen way to distill an image into its purest form. And also other tips that I have about using the ZenBrush tool or whatever is one thing you could do is you could look at images that photos you shot. So this is a photo of Cindy. We're at some art museum exhibition. There's like this big apple in the room. So what I'll do is I'll look at the image and I'll try to remember the image as best I can. I'll double tap it, open up ZenBrush, and from my memory, try to actually sketch the same image. So I remember that thing and Cindy walking. And someone might look at this like, oh, but that's not good. It's not even a matter of being good or not. It's a matter of me being creative. So then now I could look at this side-by-side view. I'm like, okay, that kind of looks like that. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So this is really awesome to me because it's a good way that I could create some sort of forward momentum. Another tool that I really love is this app called Procreate. It's on the iPad and it's also on the iPhone. So what I usually do is I just open up, photos. I scroll through the images, and if I like this photo, in the top right corner, I'll press I know it's not showing up here, but I'll essentially open up the Procreate app, and I'll import the image. So I'm just going to do this from fresh. So I'm in the gallery view, and I pick up this image of Cindy, right? So the way I do it is in the top right corner, I press Layers, plus. In the top left corner where it says S is the lasso tool. I'll draw parts of the image I like. I'll press the layers again. Left click that side, press fill layer. That's cool. And I'll add a new layer, and then I'll add cyan. I'll fill in Cindy here real quick. Fill in that layer. In the background color, I'll turn this black. And what I'll just do is I'll hide the initial layer. And I'm like, wow, I did that in like 2 seconds. And so this, I think, is a fantastic way to be a visual artist, regardless of what situation you're in. And there's so many different versions of this that I've done. Is like even looking at photos that I've shot of shadows and being able to draw out the images, kind of breaking it down. Looking at other photos of a shot of Cindy here, so this one here, this here. And I think one of the most important things is us as visual artists, for us not to be traditionalists. I think it's really important for us to use all the different tools we have at our disposal in order to create images. And a simple idea that you could all do too is, you have a photo, what do you do with it? You can upload it to your own website or your own blog. I think that's one of the most important things. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. This is, okay, I think, right? So once again, don't be traditionalist with images. You could do whatever you want to your photos. People say, oh, you can't Photoshop your photos, whatever. Do whatever you like. You do whatever you please. And take all the images and and this is kind of us thinking about this from like a computer science perspective, is that you could inverse the images, you could fill the images, you could blur the images, kind of do whatever you want with it. So this is one point I really want to talk about. All right, is it okay if I share a Jay-Z quote?
Yeah.
Yep, we all like Jay-Z? Sure. I'm sorry, Beyonce. So sad, okay? So there's a Jay-Z quote I love is, until you own yourself, you can't be free. Until you own yourself, you can't be me. And the basic notion is this. If you're an artist, you're an individual, you like to make stuff, you must own your own platform, website, whatever. Don't just upload everything to Facebook and Instagram, because I call this notion digital sharecropping. Is when you're taking your artworks and just uploading to Facebook or Instagram, you have no control, you have no autonomy over what you're creating. And probably one of the easiest things is to create your own website. I started my blog 2010 with WordPress.org. I'm all about the open source. So you can sign up on oneonone.com or bluehost.com. Build your own website, because one thing that's really hurt me a lot as a photographer is the social media treadmill. So the notion of the social media treadmill is this, and I'll speak from my own experiences. You start off, you're told to use Facebook, Google, Instagram, whatever, and you upload a photo and someone likes it or follows you. And you're like, wow, that feels so good. Somebody likes me. How do I get more of these likes? So you upload another image. Oh, this time I got 5 likes, not 1 likes. What did I do differently? It looks like people like black and white photos. So you start to upload more and more black and white photos because people like the black and white images. And then while this is happening, you're training the algorithm, and the algorithm is also training you. Well, that's pretty good. I didn't even stretch. Oh, by the way, I'm really into John Wick. This is my John Wick outfit. Not Keanu Reeves, okay? And so what actually happened was, I had like 100,000 followers on Facebook, whatever. They kept tweaking the algorithm. So at this point, I upload something, 5 people might like it out of 100,000. And so one of the benefits of having an open platform like your own website or your blog, you could do certain things that you can't do on Facebook or Instagram, which is like disable comments, disable stats. And one of the things that's actually helped me in terms of my personal self-esteem as a photographer, visual artist, is turning off the stats. So even though I know my blog is probably one of the most popular blogs on the internet, I have no idea how many people visit my blog. So because with numbers, I'm very emotional about numbers. Like, you guys ever look at your stock or your 401k, and it went up, it's like green, yeah, the next day it goes down and red, oh, I'm gonna kill myself. Like, this is so sad, right? So I don't know about you guys, but I'm so emotional with numbers. I'm all about demetricating my life. So there's actually, if you go on the Google Chrome store, there's a demetricator app where you could actually turn off the metrics on Facebook, your email, and stuff like that. Because numbers kind of give me anxiety. I don't know about you. So I'm trying to demetricate my life as much as possible. And so even for my website, simple tips, you're designing a website, just have 3 things in the menu bar and keep your website full screen, super duper clean. And we all know what happened with sharecroppers. You thought that the land belonged to you, but it didn't. So essentially, you want to build your own website, build your own platform, right? So this is not an ad for Nike. Oh, you guys want something cool? Oh, can you do it? Can you do it? Oh, I can do the left leg too, but that'll cost you extra. So I like this notion of Nike, right? Just do it. Just share it. It doesn't matter if it's good or it's bad, it's authentic, inauthentic, whatever. I just want to distill this. Just share it. You make something, just share it, preferably to your own website or your blog. You could email it to your friends. You could do a group text with your family, whatever it may be. And knowing that you are a creative, as long as you created it, it's worth sharing. So I'll just give you guys some, we all like the creativity hacks, right? Right? So, creativity hack 1. Creative constraint. I think that creativity is actually born from constraints, not unlimited options. So this is just the phone option. For an entire day, only use your phone, walk around the block, and make photos. And I think a lot of us have DSLRs and stuff, just toss that in a drawer at home. 2, this is a very practical one. Any other coffee addicts here? Have a triple shot of espresso. If you cannot create art after a triple shot of espresso, come talk to me, I'll give you some cold brew, right? I really do think that drinking coffee does actually help stimulate me to be more creative. Another practical one is I'm actually really big into intermittent fasting. I don't eat breakfast or lunch. And actually, this is my theory. Our desire to create actually quite literally comes from physical hunger. So after I have all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue, I just want to take a nap for like 10 hours. I have no motivation to live on. If I'm hungry, this guy's crazy, right? So if I'm hungry, it motivates me to move. Because if you think about, we're all hunter-gatherers. You only move because you're hungry and you want to hunt something or find an avocado tree or whatever it may be, right? So try to experiment. I mean, follow your own gut, but allow yourself to go a little bit more hungry. So try to fast from breakfast to lunch. I usually break my fast around 4 or 5 p.m. And during those days, and I'm just drinking coffee and water, I'm so much more creatively productive. Also, another tip about blogging and writing. Whenever I start a blog post, what I do is I'll put in a title, I'll do an intro, and before actually even writing the content, I just hit publish. Guy's crazy, huh? He hasn't even written it, and he's published it. This guy's crazy. But then what I do is I'll write the blog post title, so let's say why creativity is important, and then I'll do the body text. Oh, I've been thinking that creativity is important because to be human is to create blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to tell you why. Before I tell you why, I already hit publish and it goes to the internet. I'm like, it's on the internet. I need to hurry up quickly, right? And so I feel that some ways having a little bit of that creative pressure is kind of a good thing. And also because I don't have stats or anything, I don't really know how anyone is looking at it, I do it. So what I would recommend is a blogger or artist, publish works which are in progress. I think one thing that's really cool about this book is it shows you that everything is essentially a work in progress. And there's actually this really nice picture that my sister Annette made. And it's this this page here. You guys might be able to see it. So do you see the outline of the heart? She just sketched in Illustrator. And it's kind of really nice to show people behind the scenes, the making of, like, you know, BTS behind the scenes videos are really popular on YouTube. You don't need to put on this false impression that everything you create just magically came into production. Share with people your creative process. And also, this is one thing that I think is really important, is that we're all in a state of becoming. We're all in a state of flux. There's no ultimate destination or version of you. So is it okay if I use a Pokemon analogy? Shows my age, right? You're a Charmander right now. We all want to become the Charizard, right? But what if I want to stay Charmander? I don't want to be the Charizard. I'm like Pikachu, right? I don't want to. Don't evolve me, Ash. Don't evolve me. So, you guys, anyone watch that episode? Really sad. Go on YouTube, watch it. It's really sad. So, I want to stay Pikachu forever. I don't ever want to become a Raichu. I don't want to evolve into that other final destination. It's kind of like adulthood, maybe. And so we're always in a constant state of flux. We're always kind of changing. We're always just kind of always in beta mode. And this is one thing that I think is very important to think. You'll never be good. You'll never be great. And that's not even the point. The point is for you to just keep creating. You know, in beta testing and us tech nerd talk, it's like, Gmail was a beta product for what, like 10 years? I don't know, is it still beta? Is it? No. Huh?
Not anymore.
Not anymore, okay. So we're always in beta mode. So like even like if I'm cycling and I'm cycling up the hill, the question isn't like for me to, like I want to be faster today as a cyclist today than I was yesterday or maybe a year ago. Like I might not be ever as fast as, who's the guy who did the scandal thing? Lance, I'll never be a Lance Armstrong, but that's okay. And so realize that you're always in beta testing mode, and that's good. Share your artworks while you're in beta testing mode. And this is a picture of Cindy. And you know, I'm just gonna kind of skip around. So, okay. If I could distill why I do what I do is this. Each and every one of you guys in this crowd, you guys have a unique life story, you have a unique set of circumstances, you have this epic power within yourselves to create great artworks, but I think a lot of us have been trained not to do that. And also sometimes like, okay, as photographers, artists, right? You go out and make photos, you have images. So what do you do with your photos? Just dump it to Facebook or Instagram. So I'm like, I believe in Gandhi's quote, you know, become the change which you wish to see in the world. So I essentially created a platform with my friend. It's called arsbeta.com. You upload images, and you actually give constructive critiques to people's photos. Because I think one of the big problems with social media is you upload a photo to Instagram or Facebook, and then someone likes it or follows you, and it's like kind of a pat on the back. But no one ever gives you constructive critique on how to improve your artwork. Or this is also the cool thing. You could go on arsbeta.com, and you could actually leave constructive critiques to other people's photos. So you're actually helping people. To even help somebody or give someone constructive critique, I think that is also a creative act as well. So you can just check it out if you have time later, arsbeta.com. And so that's essentially the nitty-gritty of my talk. Thank you very much for listening. We'll just switch it to Q&A. Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions?
Hi. Yeah, I love the tips, especially the one about the starving artist. I can definitely empathize with that. So if everyone is like tapping into what seems to be your ideal heaven and just, you know, create, turn off the metrics, just kind of shouting into the world, isn't that going to mean that, like, I mean, I think we already are flooded with artworks, music, so like the amount uploaded to YouTube and Facebook it's like much more than anyone could possibly consume in a lifetime, like every second. So, like, I want to go back to your first question of why create. Like, is it purely just a selfish act? Because like when I first started out in music, I thought, you know, like I was very inspired by works like Bach, things that have lasted for centuries. And when I was very young, I had a delusion that I might create something that lasts, but now I have zero expectation of creating something that lasts, yet I'm much, much happier in the creation process. You know, I don't care about my metrics but in a way it feels like selfish, which, children are kind of inherently.
Can you give me the box?
Yeah.
Your response. So I'm just going to talk into this because it makes me feel like more like I was here. I can't believe I made a microphone that looks like a box. I now have a mic, okay? That's a fantastic question. So what's the purpose of making artwork if most likely you're going to be swept into this ethereal cloud and it's just going to dissipate and it's not going to last, whatever, okay? So this is I figured this out. I got your answer, okay? First and foremost, selfish is not synonymous with evil, right? So I love philosophy. Nietzsche is my best friend. I think so in some ways as an artist, being selfish is the most selfless thing you could do. So this is my thought. The more selfish you could be in focusing on your own artworks and making yourselves happy, whatever, and then sharing that with others is probably one of the best things that you could do. And also, the notion of making something timeless is very tricky, right? Like, do you want it to last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years? I mean, we still read Homer, but I don't think anything is meant to last forever. In terms of durability, there are certainly some things which will last longer than others. But who knows? Like, let's say you make some music, and then I listen to it, and then my best friend is Kanye West, and I tell Kanye, oh, I was talking to this guy at Google, and then he told me this beat, and then he turns into it. So anything you create and you share and interact with other humans, in some ways it actually does live on eternally through people's memories, through their actions, whatever. And this is just my philosophy, is that if you do it and you like it and it's good, just share it with other people. If you share your artwork, and even it has a 0.00001% chance of changing someone's life, I think it's kind of worth it. Or even if it has a 1% chance of making someone smile a little bit for the day, that might have these huge butterfly effects. Like, I listened to your music, it put me in a good mood. I was nicer to my wife. My wife was nicer to her friends, and they're nicer. So it becomes like one of those movies where it's like the butterfly, that thing. So keep making your music. I think it's awesome. Yeah.
But didn't you say consuming kind of brings you down? So we're just creating for others to consume?
That's a good question. So I think it's tricky because this is my theory. I think my ideal is 90% of the time we're producing and 10% of the time we're consuming. So I love to listen to music. I love listening to Kanye. I like watching motivational videos on YouTube, whatever. But so I think that we still need to consume. If you'd never consumed any food, you would die. So I feel like the same is with artworks. You create music, you share with other people, they consume it, and if it makes them feel better, it's good. I mean, obviously not everyone's gonna like it, but even if 10 people listen to your music and one of them was Bach's grandson, I feel like that's the right audience. Sorry, I saw some questions here. Yeah.
So I see you remixing your art. At what point do you know when to stop? Or do you make multiples and keep them? And how do you decide which one's the one you want to present?
Oh, that's a very good question. So when do you know when to stop? Very simple thing. Stop when you're bored. It's very simple. For me, only artwork that you make that's made in a spirit of fun and play, I think is actually worth it. So for me, I just keep remixing it, and then once it feels good or I like it, it's done. It's a very simple metric. And once I get bored, I just stop. It's also like writing too. I know when to stop writing because the second I get bored with it, I think other people will get bored with it. So that's when I stop. So I also like the Jay-Z song, on to the next one. I make something, I share it. I don't dwell on it too long. I'm more interested in the thing I'm gonna create next than that thing afterwards. Great question.
And I wanted to ask, how do you present it? And when you are remixing so many things and you like multiples, do you show multiples on?
That's a very good question. So one thing I like to do, this is a very practical thing. So on WordPress.org or WordPress.com, whatever, there's this function called tiled gallery, T-I-L-E-D gallery. And essentially it makes a collage of all images. So actually what I'll do is I'll upload the tiled collage within a blog post, and it'll show 10 versions of the same thing. And to me, I actually really like that because I like it when, Chef Gordon Ramsay takes me into his kitchen. He's like, this is how you make the best waffles Or you make waffles, right? So I kind of like the making of. So it's almost like I like to share with other people my creative process. And to me, it's actually very empowering because sometimes I look at artists, I'm like, oh, I can never be that good because this guy's like a demigod and I'm just like a nobody. But then you see how much work they had to put into, like even this book in the front cover, this book took me, Cindy, my sister Annette, and also my other sister Jennifer. It took us like 360 hours combined. All of us, we rented an Airbnb for 2 weeks in Kyoto. We drank like 20 million cups of coffee and we produced this book. So just kind of realizing that, so you as an artist, when you create things, share with other people, hey, this took me a lot of time, it was difficult, these are my iterations. I think it's good to share your iterative, like, you know, we talk about like iterations, iterate, right? Silicon Valley, iterate, pivot, right? Like, so sharing with people your iterative process, I think it's empowering to you and also your viewer. Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about your process for productivity when it comes to? For me, it seems like creativity is something that drags me away from being able to do my work. It's all those little threads spreading around. Just wanted to see how you organize your thoughts and how you know, at the end of the month you get something done.
Oh, okay. So I'll give you some very. Can you the laptop? Okay. So. This is actually very, very good. So this actually might be the most useful part of this talk. Okay, so I'll give you some practical productivity tips because I'm like really obsessed with this. Okay, so I'll give you some practical tips. Tip one, every single day on your iPhone, iPad, phone, laptop, whatever, try to uninstall one app a day. This will really help you zen down. And to me, the best way to become productive or to create more is actually to eliminate distractions. I don't know what it means to be productive, but I know what distracts me and I know how to get rid of it. Even like in my Mac, can you guys see it? I don't actually show the clock. I don't even know what time it is. I have this app called Bartender to hide all the icons on my computer here. For all my writing, I use something called IA Writer. And it's this minimalist typing app, and I could turn this to full screen. So, hey Google guys, here is Eric Kim, and I am going to share my thoughts with you. So you could focus on one thing at a time. So 10 ways you couldn't believe that talking at Google can totally transform your life. Not clickbait, right? And I use this tool in writing called Markdown. Markdown's fantastic. It's super lightweight. It keeps me writing. And there's also this focus mode so I could stay focused. So, 10 tips, right? 1, be Eric Kim. No, just whatever maybe. So you can type whatever nonsense you want. Subheader 1, subheader 2. So IE Writer is a fantastic tool. Another very practical tip, I don't know how you guys could do this at Google, but I really like this idea that the first thing you do in the morning, don't check your email. Because this is the problem with creativity is that I think the best way to become creative is you want to empty your mind. You want to kind of like Zen zone, like no distractions, whatever. And if I was put in school, I'm sure they would put me on Ritalin and ADHD, whatever. And so sleep with your phone in a different room, charge it in a different room, wake up, and when you first wake up, use that time in the morning when you're totally empty to create whatever it may be. And you don't actually have to share everything that you create. I think that's really important. Also with photography, I'm a big fan of the new Photos app on the like I used to use Lightroom a lot, but I'm starting to drift more and more away from Lightroom. And then just using Photos and just keep everything in the favorites. This is my little 4-year-old niece taking photos of my Rico. So use the simplest tools possible. And yeah, I would say try to get into like Zen zone. Like if you could wake up in the morning. Also, this is another very practical thing. I'm really into powerlifting. So doing 1 rep max deadlifts and squats and stuff. When I wake up and I go lift weights and I have that adrenaline rush after working out, that's actually when I feel the most creative. I just want to like go home and write something. So I actually think that creativity, this is my thought. This is actually kind of cool. I think creativity might be more of a physical thing than a mental thing. So if you want to become more creative as an artist, maybe just increase your deadlifts. No, seriously, like, can you imagine, right? If you could deadlift 400 pounds and you're a painter, shouldn't you make much better paintings? And also that's why I think intermittent fasting is good too, because like, if I went to, Olive Garden and I had like 10 bowls of salad, or not salad, pasta, am I gonna have any motivation to create artwork afterwards? So I would actually think about the physiological side of things. So, you probably know your body better than anyone else does. So like, whatever foods which actually nourish you in a way that gives you energy, like I probably drink 50 cups of coffee a day. That works for me, might not work for you. You might have to get the EKG, that thing. So I would actually think about, focus on your physical health.
All right, well, thank you everyone for coming. Really appreciate it. We're at time. So please take a moment to thank Eric Kim for coming.
Oh.